Hello and welcome to Dressmaking Amore. I'm so happy to bring you part 2 of sewing this Chanel-inspired, absolutely charming Chantelle dress featuring the elegant A-line silhouette with adorable short sleeves and the most perfect square neckline. I'm using our new Chantelle dress PDF sewing pattern, which you can get at the link below in the description, and please do watch part 1 of the sewing process, it's linked below as well. I'm using a chenille tweed fabric, and we left off at sewing the neckline, so let's get right back into it. Mark the start of the seam at the corners of the front neckline of the lining and the main fabric. Pin the lining into the dress, pin the lining to the neckline right sides together, matching the shoulder seam and corner marks that we marked at the side front piece. Repeat to both sides. Pinning the center front seam allowances away so it won't bother us, we'll sew in 3 steps. First, one vertical side of the neckline, then the opposite side, and only then the central neckline. Sew the lining to the main fabric at the neckline, stopping the seam right at the mark where the princess seam starts. Take out your pin and backstitch. In the same way, sew the other side. Now understitch these 2 sides. Now that we have the lining sewn to the dress and we understitched it, clip the seam allowances of the back neckline along the curve and trim if needed. Also, you can clip the corners of the seam allowances to make them less bulky. Turn the dress to the right side and press the neckline, gluing it down using a clapper. To sew the center front part of the neckline, fold the seam allowances of the main fabric and lining away and pin them in place. Do the same to the other side. Pin the center of the neckline. Now we're going to sew the central part of the neckline. Fold away the side piece, seam allowances away, and start to sew from the very corner here. Backstitch at the start and the end, making sure to keep a nice, sharp corner. Here's what it should look like. Turn it out to the right side, and as you can see, all of our seam allowances are flattened out nicely. Understitch the center neckline with our seam allowances folded to the lining side. Stop just before the corner. If you feel that your fabric is bulky, then what you can do is cut the seam allowance corners of the lining and the shoulder seams at a diagonal. Also, on the center piece of the neckline, I'll cut the corners as well. This way it'll fold much more sharp when we press. Press the neckline. And here we have our careful, precise corners of our charming square neckline. Fold the seam allowances of the top edge of the back towards the lining and pin. Pin the lining to the zipper at the center back, matching the waistline marks. Leave 2 inches at the bottom. Pin the other side as well. Sewing from the inner face side, sew close to the zipper so that you can catch the zipper tape in the seam. And place down your foot, push the zipper tongue up and away so that you can finish sewing. Sew the other side in the same way, starting at our mark here. See how everything looks and if it's to your satisfaction. We have our beautiful invisible zipper sewn in just right, so now it's time to press. Press your seams. Fold the seam allowances of the lining 1.3 centimeters to the wrong side of lining at the side seam of the sleeve, and matching edge to edge and seam to seam with the main fabric, pin them together. Fold the hem of the sleeve 3 to 4 centimeters to the wrong side and press. From the bottom, grab the sleeve to turn it out to the wrong side and pin the seam allowances of the sleeve, hem, main, and lining, and then pin the previous pin, grabbing only the seam allowances of the sleeve, hem, main fabric. This step helps to place the sleeve in the right position before sewing it, avoiding a twisted sleeve. Pin them together all around and then sew. On the wrong side, match the shoulder seam allowances of the main fabric and the lining. Join them either way by tacking on the machine, or making a thread chain. You'll want to place the seam into the ditch at the side seam of the sleeve to tack and secure the hem in place. As you can see, the shoulder seams are secured together and the armhole as well. It's held together so the sleeve won't twist anywhere and still with enough movement for comfortable wearing. Make a 1 centimeter fold over in the middle of the sleeve and pin the lining to the main fabric. Then go around and repeat to the whole sleeve and press. This free edge that we form here, about 2 centimeters of extra length, is needed for comfortable wearing, specifically for garments with lining. So take your pins out and flip the sleeve back into its rightful place. Now try on your dress and decide on how much you want to fold the dress hem. I want a 4 centimeter hem, so I'm going to measure 8 centimeters up from the bottom edge on the wrong side all around and pin. First, pin at the seams and then once in between them so that we can slightly shrink this fabric in between by pressing. So press your fabric firmly yet carefully and use a wooden tailor scalper to cool. An ideal option here would be to take the hem like this and hand stitch it. Though, as my fabric hides any thread, sort of making it invisible, I can easily top stitch the hem on the right side, feeling where the fold of the hem ends underneath, and sew all around. Since the lining should be shorter than the dress, after we hem the skirt by 4 centimeters, we can cut the lining by that same amount. So I'll mark 4 centimeters up from the bottom of the lining skirt all around and pin the edges of the lining together and cut. Then easily double fold the lining, pin, press for easier sewing, and sew. And here I use some pinking shears to trim the seam allowances so that they won't fray. Press the lining hem. Now turn it out as it lays naturally with the dress, and the last thing we need to do here is connect it to the main fabric so it won't twist and turn. As you can see, the lining is the perfect length. If you can see the hem edge on the wrong side of the main fabric, your lining is too short, like this, and covering the hem but not reaching it all the way down is perfect. Sew the lining to the dress by a thread chain 2 centimeters long at the side seams. And giving your garment a finishing press like always, we are done with our most charming Chantelle dress. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspires you to sew this beautiful dress yourself. I know you'll love it. You can get the PDF downloadable sewing pattern that I used at the link in the description of this video, and happy sewing!